Monarch of the Sword Iseria is finally here, so let's go over her kit and everything, and then we'll talk about her usage, how good she's going to be, and whatever else we can figure out with what we have so far. So she is a Taurus Knight. You can use Green Senya to compare stats, though do keep in mind Green Senya gets 30% attack from her S2, so you will need to remove the 30% attack to see Iseria's actual attack when you're checking your stats. Her imprints are really, really good. Health is going to be amazing given the team comps that she's going to be played in, which is just all slow team comps. And if you really do find yourself wanting more damage, you can self-imprint attack. Funnily enough, these are the same imprints as Green Senya, so you could imprint your Green Senya to check SSS if you have it. For her stats, or for her skills, we're going to start off with S2, because this is the big thing. It has pen resistance, 50%. You can increase it by another 20 for 70% pen res. But the main thing is all counterattack chances are doubled. This means that counter set is 60%. And ELBRIS will be 40% per hero. This is very, very funny, because if we go ahead and take a look at this, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This is counter set on the right. You have a 60% chance to get hit every single time somebody hits you, and then a 40% chance to counterattack each time one of your allies gets hit, assuming you have 3 allies alive. Combined, if you get hit with an AoE, you have a 91% chance to counterattack, assuming I did this right. If you're in like Guild War or something, let's change this to a 2. It's 86%, still super high. If it's just her and another ally, it's 76. So this is a lot of counterattack chance. If somebody AoEs you, you're probably countering them. And there's not really anything they can do about that. So she's going to be insane into really any units that spam AoE. With that in mind, it's actually really, really nice that she has the pen resistance at 70%, because Last Rider Crow, he's going to S3, you're not going to take any damage really, and you're just going to counterattack pretty much every single time. Bellion, she's going to be super good into as well. The pen resistance also lets her ignore Lionheart Sirmia for the most part, because Lionheart Sirmia is also pen damage. Now, when she counterattacks, if the target is a hero, so this won't work in PvE, the front ally will also counterattack, which is also very, very funny, because there's some units with pretty good S1s. You could think of the immediate synergy. Who wants to be in the front? It's Bossarunka. Bossarunka S1 Death Break is pretty good. So this is going, like, this, besides just Bossarunka, there's going to be some other synergies that are probably going to be really fun to work with. And also, when attacking, grants a barrier. So this will work on counterattack or on her turn attack. She gets a barrier proportional to her attack for 2 turns, and this has no cooldown. So, like, if she's counterattacking every single turn, then she's just going to keep on refreshing this barrier. You're going to have to actually hit her, or I guess if you're using her, you have to take a pretty big hit that actually breaks your barrier in order to actually take damage. This having no sort of cooldown is pretty insane, to be honest. So this is all of her defensive utility, really. It's just the barrier and the pen res, but given that this has no cooldown, I think this is actually pretty good because of how high her counterattack chance is. If somebody picks any unit that spams AoEs into you, you're going to get a ton of value. So of course, we'll be using ELBRIS or Troll Sword on her, and let's actually skip the S3 and take a look at her S1 first. For her S1, the unenhanced S1 penetrates target's defense. That's it. This is actually not very useful. I think this is good though, because you want her to kind of have the dead turn on her S1 for like a balance sake. If she's counterattacking though, she'll activate Sword of Duty, which will inflict Fracture on her. I guess I should have done the S3 first. The Fracture gives her 20% attack, and she loses 5% defense. And then she'll increase the CR of the caster and the foremost ally except for the caster by 20%. Those will go up to 25%, which is kind of crazy. That is a lot of CR to push. Again, Bossarunka is going to get a lot of CR from this. And then she also inflicts additional damage proportional to her attack on the target and up to 20% injury. You can soul burn it for a bit of extra damage. So this is the skill that you're going to be seeing for the most part, given how many counters she's going to have. The Fracture we'll see in a little bit with her S3. The Fracture stacks, giving her all of the attack, is going to make her deal more damage, and she does lose defense, but her barrier on the counter will also get slightly larger due to having more attack, because the barrier size also scales with her attack. The combat readiness is great for her cycling, and then it'll also help the front ally cycle a ton as well. So that's where most of her kit is. It's just the counterattack spamming from the S2 passive plus the S1. Now her S3. It inflicts fracture on her and dispels all debuffs. You can see the fracture effect here. Increases attack by 20%, but decreases defense by 5%, stacking up to 10 times, so 200% attack and 50% defense loss. And then it's an AoE attack that also inflicts additional damage proportional to the caster's attack and up to 25% injury. And the cooldown on this is super short, 3 turn. So 3 turn, you get 25% CR every single time you counter, and you get 200% attack from fracture. So your AoE pop is going to be doing quite a bit of damage. Overall, her kit, it's just, you spam counterattacks, you CR push yourself plus the front ally, you give the front ally counterattacks, you also get the big barrier, you start stacking up your fractures, because every single counterattack you do is going to give you another stack of fracture, and then you just rip your S3, and then big attack pop, pretty much, is what her kit looks like it's playing out as. And given how short the cooldown is on this, you could potentially S3 immediately and then loop around and S3 again at high stacks. You also have the option of just simply holding your S3 and waiting to get a few fracture stacks before using your S3. So you've got a couple of options there. She does have some issues, of course, because she's pretty susceptible to cleave. Like, she doesn't really do anything to stop it. She has her counterattack, and that's about it. I think that this unit, for the most part, is going to be good in, like, slow versus slow, but if you're getting, like, hit by somebody playing kind of fast, I don't think she's going to be able to do too much. She's really susceptible to seal and bind, that kind of stuff. So that is one thing to watch out for. They did do the showcase, which this is like a 5-minute showcase. We're not going to look at this whole thing. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to here. This is where she rips her S3, and she has 5 stacks of fracture. We don't know how much attack she has, but she does have 16,000 HP, which isn't too much. And you can see here Arunka from 550 up to 9,000, and then this Bellion ended up taking 1 billion damage. 3,000 because she was death broken, up to 25,000. So they had Emelpera in the front for the showcase, who was death break on S1. I mentioned Boss Arunka also has death break on her S1. It's another unit that's going to be really nice. You definitely want to run her with units that have protection for her. So stuff like Maid Chloe, of course, or Fallen Cecilia is going to be nice because of the sort of fixed or extra damage pops. Then the other units like Boss Arunka is going to be really good with her, especially because of the S1 synergy. They showed the showcase against Bellion because of all the AoE attacks are just going to spam proc your ELBRIS. And I mentioned LRK earlier, same thing, where I think she's going to be really good into LRK as well. So for gearing, although there's nothing in her kit that stops her from critting, I don't think you want to be building crit on her. I think you just rely on the fixed damage pops from S1 and S3 artifact. It has to be ELBRIS. There's no other option. A 40% chance to counter for each ally alive. Let me remove her EE2, actually, because she's not going to have that. I think for the most part, you're definitely going counter set, and then either immunity or pursuit. Like immunity for RTA probably, and then pursuit if you're doing just like Guild War arena stuff. You don't really care about the immunity, or if you just don't have a need for it. I think you do want attack, but also a lot of HP and probably a bit of defense. You probably don't need any speed. You're going to get a lot of attack from Fracture already, is the thing. Like, my counter immunity gear is not very good, but Fracture is already giving you a ton of attack. You probably, we'll have to see what her multipliers are like, like how much scaling she gets from barriers, how much the fixed or how much the extra damage pop is on her S3 from attack. We need to see what the attack scaling is, because if the attack scaling is super high, you might end up just leaning, maybe not that much, but you might end up leaning a lot more towards attack, or a lot more towards bulk and a bit less attack. And then if you find yourself needing more attack and less bulk, then you can do something like this instead. It's all going to really vary depending on what her mods are like, but the thing I think is going to be the same. Is it's just going to be attack, defense, and HP. I don't think crit is going to be good, especially given that her attack influences her bulk as well from the barriers. ELBRIS could be something that people go for, though I'm not sure exactly how good it's going to be. But Iseria overall, I think she's going to be like okay. She's unfortunately the showcase did have LRK, so we couldn't see how much barrier she gets from her S1. It's definitely less than LRK S2, as all that we can really say, but the he did just get buffed recently. Anyways, this lightest area unit looks solid, but I don't think anything insane for now, just because she looks like she's going to be pretty weak against a lot of the fast turn 1 stuff. But in turn 2 versus turn 2 stuff, she's going to be pretty good. And I already have Iseria on my wish list. So hopefully we get some more imprints, and good luck with your rolls.